Welcome to the ACEVEDO video store. Today we are going to review Sister Street Fighter, also known as Lady Karate, Women's Deadly Fist, Revenge of the Dragon, and my favorite title, which is from the French release, The Lady Tigress, the Siamese sister of Bruce Lee, which I'm wondering now if this movie counts as Bruceploitation, given that French title. But I think that's a topic we'll get later into this review. This film is from 1974. It's directed by Kazuhiko Yamaguchi, written by Masahiro Kakefuda, and the cinematography done by Yoshio Nakajima for its the 50th anniversary of the 1976 American release. So the film was made in 1974, so that's 52 years ago, but it came out in February of 1976 in the US, so just a few years later. Probably a perfect time to talk about this movie because this movie is pretty awesome. The story is about Tina, who found out her martial arts brother has been kidnapped by the local Japanese triads. So she's enlisted by the police to leave Hong Kong to go to Yokohama, Japan to find her brother and all that, and also stop the Japanese triads, which we'll later find out are distributing cocaine in wigs. So Tina has to stop this whole operation down while trying to find her brother. So that's the basic plot of the movie. This movie is really fun to watch. The story was pretty interesting and all that. I was quite engaged with it. I think there could have been a little bit more room for character development and more like character driven moments. The story itself, it is a bit cliche. And, I noticed this while watching Firecracker, which was made a few years later by New World Pictures. But you have this plot line that's repeated in some martial arts movies where you have the main character who's looking for a relative or somebody they know in another country, so they go to that another country, and while looking for that relative, they end up in a bunch of martial arts fights. But I wasn't too upset about that plot line while watching this movie because there's so much going on with it that isn't just like, you know, the basics and all that. And it's a quite entertaining movie that really moves along with the plot. It is an hour and 25 minutes long. There's a few moments to like breathe in because there's the more slower fun moments and all that, where you have Tina interacting with the other characters in a more positive light. Another thing about the story is when I heard the title Sister Street Fighter, I didn't really think too much about it. I was like, oh, Tina is probably the sister of Terry Seguri, you know, the Sonny Chiba's character from the Street Fighter trilogy. Then I was a little confused where Sonny Chiba appears in the movie, but he's not playing Terry Seguri, he's playing a different character in the movie. So the sister part of the title involves with Tina, the sister of this martial artist who is now missing, and she's trying to track down the movie. Not her being the sister of Sonny Chiba's character. So it's kind of like the continuity wise between this film and like the Street Fighter trilogy. It's kind of like the Mad Max continuity wise, where with each sequel it brings back the same actors, but it has them playing different characters. And the fight choreography is really well done. I really love the fight scenes in this movie and also how they're filmed. The movie kind of takes a more what's the words? I guess cartoonish approach, or was it? It's Japan, so maybe calling it an anime approach and all that, where the elements of the movie are more fantastical and less grounded to reality. For example, the main boss of the film, the final boss of the film, he has this whole legion of fighters that Tina has to fight through all of them. And they're all highlighted in this one little montage sequence to show their abilities. And the ones that really caught me off guard were the Amazon women. There's a group of Amazon women that are really good at kicking. With the fantastical elements also involves with the fighting and all that, where you get more high jumps, high kicks. The last fight scene with Tina, where her and the final boss, they jump off and start fighting each other in the air. I was like, whoa, that's really fun to watch. That's why I want to highlight Yoshio Nakajima for filming the fight scenes. There's very eye-catching moments in the cinematography, such as the Dutch angles that spread throughout the film, handheld shots. The lighting was also really well done. So that's why I say there's a bit more fantastical elements in this movie, but it really adds to the fun experience of watching it, along with the soundtrack. The soundtrack is really done as well, and yeah, this is really an enjoyable movie. I really loved watching it, so I'll give it 4 out of 5 stars. Now, I only own this movie on Blu-ray, as you see here. It includes all 4 movies. Yes, there are 4 movies. 2 of them are actual sequels. The 4th one, which let me read back here. The unrelated follow-up, Sister Street Fighter Fifth Element Fist. I forgot the exact reason why they called it, another Street Fighter movie and all that, but Etsuko Shima, who plays Tina in the movie, returns back for that film, which is pretty awesome to see because the female comic Scorpion movies, Michael Kaji's in most of them, but I think the last one or two of them features a different actress. But yeah, this is a pretty cool Blu-ray set. It includes a few cool bonus features, such as an interview with the writer Masahiro Kakefuda, who really starts the interview off with somebody with a great sentence, which is that I prefer to write erotic films, but I do like kung fu movies, which is really funny to listen to and all that. But he gives a very insightful interview about writing the films. He talks about how Bruce Lee's Enter the Dragon was so great when it came out in 1973 that the writers back then that were making these studio films, this film was produced by Toei, couldn't help themselves but take elements from Enter the Dragon into the movies they're producing, which made me realize that Sister Street Fighter is core like a pseudo ripoff of Enter the Dragon, but I really didn't think about that while watching the movie, to be honest. But Sister Street Fighter has its own unique elements to it that isn't an outright ripoff, but now I do see the resemblance. You also have an interview with Sonny Chiba talking about how he discovered Itsuko Shihomi for the role and all that, and how she was nearly not casted in his films until he actually stepped out of the way to learn more about her. You also have an interview with director Kazuhiko Yamaguchi, who did the later two movies of the series, Hanging by a Thread and Return of Sister Street Fighter. And I haven't watched that interview yet, but I did see the still image gallery of the film, hence why I learned that in France, the film was called The Lady Tigress, the Siamese sister of Bruce Lee. So it's kind of like a full turn of the film being inspired by Bruce Lee's Enter the Dragon, and then Etsuko Shima being advertised in France as being the Siamese sister of Bruce Lee. It reminds me of another movie, which I'm forgetting the title right now, but I will put up an image right here. There's a movie called Sister of Bruce Lee that was released in France, and I remember that being mentioned in the Enter the Clones of Bruce, because they talk about how in the movie they say she never brings up Bruce Lee at all in the movie. The still gallery kind of gives an interesting glimpse of what Toei was doing. For example, their English promo materials for Sister Street Fighter initially called the movie Lady Karate. I'm presuming when Sister Street Fighter finally came out and was a box office success, they branded the later three movies, movie 2 to 4, as the Sister Street Fighter movies, not these Lady Karate movies. Also, I found out that there's apparently a rare Wizard Video big box VHS release of the movie, which now I have to get around to watching it. But it's not like their famous big box VHS releases where the top part opens. It's the one where it has an opening door. And another thing about the home video releases of the film, for a while, the only available version until the Arrow Video Blu-ray release was the US cut of the movie, which edited out 5 minutes of the movie to get an R rating. I skimmed through the US cut, which is featured on the Blu-ray. Anytime there's US exclusive text, the opening titles or on English text, it uses a standard definition master, but the entire US version is in HD using part of the HD master of the Japanese version. It cuts out a lot of violence, what I know. It cuts out a lot of the more violent sequences in the film, or the aftermath of violence stuff and all. In the Japanese version, Tina kicks a lady into a bed of spikes, and we cut to a shot of the lady with the spikes sticking out of her and blood protruding out as well. That shot is completely cut out of the US version. The most major thing I noticed that they cut out in the US version is the final fight scene where we see the aftermath, which lasts about a minute or 30 seconds, and that's completely cut out. So you get all of the violent, bloody sequences cut out from the US version. I didn't notice they did fix the last shot of the movie, because in the last shot of the film, it's a sunset, and then the title card, the end, fades over. But whoever was operating the camera is really shaky, it's something I done before where you're trying to zoom in on the sun. You could do it well on a tripod because then you could let go of the camera. Do it handheld and it's yeah, I'm trying to get it right. There we go. It kind of looks like that, so it's a very shaky shot of the sun. For the US version, they just cut to a still frame of that shot, so the camera isn't shaking throughout the entire shot. And, the end. So I was okay, that's something I like a little bit more about the US version. It actually fixes that one shot. But would recommend just to watch the Japanese version of the film, because on the Arrow Video Blu-ray release, it does edit the English dub into the Japanese version, so it kind of conforms it more. So whenever there's like a Japanese exclusive sequence, it just cuts back to the Japanese audio. On the topic of the US version, I actually do own an original one-sheet poster of Sister Street Fighter, which I keep in this box and all that. It's 27 by 41 inches. And yeah, I wish I could display it, but like I don't really want to damage it like my Godzilla poster up here and my Tidal Wave poster, because I can only afford 27 by 40 frames and I have to fold the top part of it to have the posters fit in. So Sister Street Fighter, I'm going to keep it in the box. But yeah, the poster is really cool, and we can also see that the Etsuko Shiomi, her first name was changed to Sue. So Sue Shiomi, like Shinichi Chiba, was changed into Sunny Chiba. Well, looking through this bonus features and all that, I noticed there's a lot of overlap between the movies I've seen beforehand and also the movies I have known about, and also several of the Sunny Chiba Toei movies that a lot of the same people work with. Let me look at my notes here. That's why I'm keep glancing over here. Masahiro Kakefuda, he did a lot of the female Yakuza movies that got released by Discotech. Female Yakuza Tale and Sex and Fury. Two of the terrifying girls' high school film series, Animal Classmates and Women Violent Classroom. The Great Chase, which is actually out on Blu-ray by Neon Eagle, which is pretty awesome. I already own, Ninja Terminator, of course, and also Kill Bill 5 Kill, so I have to now get around getting The Great Chase. The cinematographer Yoshio Nakajima and the director Kazuhiko Yamaguchi will work on two different Wandering Ginza Butterfly movies with Michael Kaji. Those films are actually getting a Blu-ray release from what I heard of recently. And I noticed the directors has pretty interesting filmography and all that. Besides directing movie 2 and 3 of the Sister Street Fighter films, he also directed Champion of Death, which I owned on DVD, Wolf Guy, which I owned on Blu-ray, also from Arrow Video as well, and Circuit Wolf, which is a film adaptation of a Japanese manga about race car driving. And the cinematographer, Yoshio Nakajima, he has a pretty interesting career as well, working on Champion Death again, Wolf Guy, Zero Women Red Handcuffs. I should also mention all three of these people have worked on Sunny Chiba's karate trilogy, such as Champion of Death, and along with the other films. From what I also remember, it's also based on a Japanese manga series about karate. But this one film actually caught me off guard. 80 Animation, The Best 10 from 1980. Yoshio Nakajima was a cinematographer on that film, which I actually watched a few years ago because a 4K scan was done by Kaneko Video, and it was on YouTube for a while before it got copyright claim because of all the anime clips. But basically, this film is about ranking, the 10 best anime by 1980. So they include Captain Harlock, Doraemon. They actually include footage of the Dr. Slump pilot. But yeah, it's like a pretty obscure Japanese film and all that. But I was kind of surprised. It's like, wait, the guy who did Sister Street Fighter also did this? Which is pretty cool to think about because there is that connection to it. Speaking of the home video releases of the film, the movie got its first big re-release on home video was from New Line Cinema when they started re-releasing the Street Fighter movies. Thanks to the success of Quentin Tarantino's movies, one of them being True Romance, which I haven't seen, but I heard there is a scene where the characters are going to a triple feature Street Fighter, Street Fighter's The Last Revenge, and Sister Street Fighter. Looking through the still gallery was a real-life triple feature that New Line Cinema promoted in theaters. But home video release, the Laserdisc and the VHS release of Sister Street Fighter look weird because the model they use for the front cover is obviously not Etsuko Shiomi. It's some other lady. Also, not even the same outfits Tina is wearing in the movie. And if you look through the back cover, you don't get a photo of Etsuko Shiomi. You get photos of Sunny Chiba fighting it out. Because it's pretty weird, and I wonder how come they did that and not include actual photos of Etsuko Shiomi in the front and back cover of the release. On the topic of Shiomi, she retired from acting actually during the 80s. She kept going on to work with Sunny Chiba until the 1980s, when she actually got married. But she is still around today. I think she's a florist, and she's actually pretty active on Instagram, which I actually follow her on. So it's pretty awesome to see her around. But I'm pretty happy with most of the films we got so far with her. Overall, it's a pretty great movie. I recommend getting the Blu-ray release from Arrow Video because it's probably the best release of the films. Most of those bonus features are related to disc 1, so you probably don't get too many of them on the second disc here, which includes the next 3 movies there. You do get reversible artwork from here. Here's the weird thing. This haircut right here that Tina has only appears, I think, in the opening scene of the first movie, and then she just has like normal like hair throughout the entire film and all that. So it's kind of strange looking at publicity photos. It's like, oh, she has different hairstyle going over there. But yeah, I really love this artwork here, which matches up with Shout Factory's Blu-ray set of the Street Fighter trilogy. I did notice, I think in the first pressing, there was a limited edition booklet and all that, which I did not get when I bought this Blu-ray set. So yeah, I will highly recommend getting the ACEVEDO Blu-ray release of the film. That's all the review. Have a nice day, and later on, come back to our video store.